On February 18th and 19th, the Washington Post broke a story about Walter Reed Army Medical Center and its unacceptable conditions. Two Post reporters spent 4 months interviewing dozens of soldiers, family members, veterans aid groups, and current and former Walter Reed staff members. The articles painted pictures of bleak despair for the outpatients of Walter Reed. 75% of the troops polled by Walter Reed last March said their experience was stressful. Not only are the living conditions atrocious, the staff is overloaded and inattentive, so much so that the wounded outpatients manage other wounded. One outpatient, a 57-year-old staff sergeant who had a heart attack in Afghanistan, was given 200 rooms to supervise at the end of 2005. He quickly discovered that some of the outpatients had left the post months earlier and would check in by phone. Many soldiers with impaired memory from brain injuries sat for weeks with no appointments and no help from the staff to arrange them. Many disappeared even longer. Some simply left for home. The bureaucratic end is no better. Most patients have to fight for every penny, even though they were promised it from the start. The typical soldier is required to file 22 documents with 8 different commands to enter and exit the medical processing world, according to government investigators. The disappearance of necessary forms and records is the most common reason soldiers languish at Walter Reed longer than they should. Sometimes the Army has no record that a soldier even served in Iraq. A combat medic who did 3 tours had to bring in letters and photos of herself in Iraq to show that she had been there, after a clerk couldn't find a record of her service.
One story in the article spoke of a soldier named Jeremy Harper, who returned from Iraq with post-traumatic stress disorder, after seeing 3 close friends die. He kept his room dark, refused his combat medals, and always seemed heavily medicated, said people who knew him. According to his mother, Harper was drunkenly wandering the lobby of the Malone House, which is across the street from the rest of the ward, in Washington, D.C., on New Year's Eve, 2004. Harper was looking for a ride home to West Virginia. The next morning, he was found dead in his room. An autopsy showed alcohol poisoning. Quote, I can't understand how they could have let kids under the age of 21 have liquor, said Victoria Harper, his mother. He was supposed to be right there at Walter Reed Hospital. I feel that they didn't take care of him or watch him as close as they should have. The Army posthumously awarded Harper a Bronze Star for his actions in Iraq. Other soldiers interviewed view Harper's death as symptomatic of a larger tragedy. The Army had broken its covenant with its troops. Many more horror stories were reported by the Post, and almost immediately afterwards, the Democrat-controlled Congress called for an investigation. Secretary of the Army, Francis Harvey, resigned Friday in the wake-up report, and the Army has vowed to take action. It is already too late to help those like Jeremy Harper, however, and no amount of investigation will be able to repair the hurt these soldiers have had to endure. Journeying through a country that cannot even provide their protectors adequate care.
Hillary Rodham Clinton is breaking with her husband on gays in the military, calling for the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy to be overturned, saying, quote, this policy doesn't just hurt gays and lesbians, it hurts all our troops. And this, to me, is a matter of national security, and we're going to fix it, she said in a keynote speech in front of the Human Rights Campaign, the nation's leading gay rights group. The Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was introduced by former President Bill Clinton as a compromise between the law on the books at the time and his campaign promise to allow all citizens, regardless of sexual orientation, to serve openly in the military. The actual policy was crafted by Colin Powell, and has been upheld by current President George W. Bush. Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been upheld 5 times in federal court, including a recent Supreme Court case. A Pew Research Center survey conducted in March 2006 showed that 60% favor allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly in the military, with 32% opposed. The former First Lady publicly opposed the policy in 1999 as she launched her first New York Senate bid, and on Friday told the Human Rights Campaign her commitment to gay rights would continue. Clinton has drawn criticism from the gay community for supporting civil unions but not gay marriage.
And now a word from companies we wish were our sponsors.